With Shadow of War coming soon, I thought it'd be time to pay homage to the game that started it off, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Though the question that still remains, what can I say that hasn't already been said? I've been struggling with that question for the better part of the summer. People think that the Nemesis system is good. I can agree with that. People think that the main story is shite. I can agree with that as well. Even more people say that the combat is straight ripped from Batman games, and I can agree with that as well. What I don't hear about this game, Shadow of Mordor, now going to be abbreviated as SOM for the rest of the video, is a game of compromises, and finding success where very few games can be any good. SOM is a movie tie-in game. That's right, this was one of the very, very few games that was actually better than a pile of dog crap on the hood of your car. This by no means that this game is a perfect one. As many has pointed out before, and way earlier than me, that this game has many flaws. Combat being flaky around obstacles, stealth seeming to be shoehorned in and overpowered in most cases, the main story being fairly uneventful and unengaging to the player. These shortcomings most would chalk up to Monolith Studios being lazy in their work. After all, this is a movie tie-in game that has to take place with overall nothing changing in the universe, so the movies still have continuity. Though what I see is a game of compromises. Yes, I said that twice. Monolith originally wanted the game where an organic story could take place, but due to limitations in AI complexity, they had to settle for a middle ground, only having a few standout NPC orcs, in one game with some lines recycled from other orcs. You can see these compromises take place in the game all the time. Common music sources are not notable and are only fitting in cutscenes. Plot is bare bones, in favor for an organic interaction, player orcs and the other orc captains. Mounting beasts are at worst cumbersome and clunky even in an open field, and at best extremely overpowered for Gorgons and just transportation mechanics for Karagors. Even some of the animation sequences seem the same from Batman games. All these compromises were done for an obvious reason: the Nemesis system. The crowning jewel of Monolith Studios, and rightfully should be. Upon release, Shadow of Mordor had the most in-depth mechanics to create organic stories and tension between the NPC and the player, despite being held back by their producers. But was it worth it though? I'm sure Shadow of Mordor was still considered a success by critics, players, and by Monolith. But will it be remembered, or will it be outshined by its sequel? With better graphics, better combat, and a revised Nemesis system, unhampered by the compromises that Monolith producers placed on it beforehand. Or will Shadow of Mordor be a flop? Only time will tell if one or the other will happen, but as of right now, SOW offers a unique experience to players with a story that was designed, maybe boring, but the other orcs will be arise to be a true rival. Speaking of rivals, orc captains have a swathe of random ability set. To offer a bit of diversity, this means that you may have to approach some captains in different ways. But I do have some complaints about the system, and the complaint is about an oversight in playtesting. Suppose you have a captain that killed you once before. He has a shield and spear, he cannot be vaulted over, he is a combat master, he will not be stunned from the front or the back, he is immune to stealth, range, mounted beasts, and finishers. Lastly, he will actively seek you out at the worst of times. This was a captain that I had in my playthrough. Unfortunately, I was not recording at the time, so sorry. He was nigh invulnerable, and the only way I could kill him was to not fight him entirely. And I had to get one of my captains to fight him and kill him. I was forced not to play the game in order to beat the game. And I guess that's where this video was going. The sentiment that while this game is good, it's flawed like any other. And that the game got something that most games do not have: originality and approach. Monolith could have done what is best, making RPG games, but it didn't. It could have scrapped the whole Nemesis system for something simpler, but they didn't. Monolith had an idea, and they went as far as they could with it, compromising all along the way to make something different. And now it has a chance to improve the idea even further. To be perfectly honest, I can't wait for the next sequel to come out and play it. Let's hope that the Ranger and the Wraith will have some real character development this time, though. Thanks for watching. Cheers.